I was born with music in my blood and faith in my bones. My earliest memories are not of fame or flashing lights, but of the church pews in Newark, New Jersey, where my mother led the choir and my young voice tried to rise above the organ. I believed in God with a child's pure heart, and I thought if I sang loud enough, maybe heaven itself would lean down to listen. As the years passed, the stage grew bigger. The world called me the voice, and the applause felt like fire on my skin. Yet with every award and standing ovation, I could feel the quiet fading of that little girl in church. Fame promised me love, but what it gave me was hunger that never ended. I chased it with drugs, with relationships that broke me, with the illusion that another hit song would silence the loneliness inside. People only saw the sparkle, the gowns, the Grammys. They never saw the trembling hands before I walked on stage, or the tears that fell into the sink when the makeup came off. I told myself I still believed, that Jesus was near, but I prayed less and less. I sang for crowds but rarely sang for him anymore. The night I died, I was alone in a hotel room, a shell of the girl who once sang gospel. The water was warm, but my spirit was cold. I remember leaning back into the tub, heart pounding against my ribs, the haze of substances heavy in my veins. I thought it would be another night of silence, another night of escape. But suddenly, everything shifted. My breath grew shallow. My chest burned. And in a heartbeat, the world I knew slipped away. The moment my head sank beneath the water, I felt a tearing, like my soul was being ripped from my body. I wasn't floating, I was falling. The echoes of my own songs turned into mocking whispers around me. And I realized, with a dread deeper than anything I'd ever felt, that I had crossed a line I could not step back from. The moment I slipped from my body, I expected peace. I had sung about angels all my life, so a part of me thought they would be there waiting, their hands stretched out to carry me home. But what I saw was not light. It was a tunnel of shadows, a depth so black that even memory seemed to dissolve. At first, I thought it was just confusion, a dream. But the deeper I was pulled, the more I realized this was no dream. My soul was sinking, drawn by invisible chains. The warmth of the water was gone. Instead, I felt the heat of a place that had never known mercy. Voices rose from the darkness, familiar and strange. They were twisted versions of my own songs, distorted, mocking. I will always love you, but the words turned into screams, the melody warped into torment. I covered my ears, but there were no hands to cover them anymore. The sound pierced through my very essence. Figures emerged, shadows with faces stretched into cruel smiles. They whispered my name like it was a curse. Whitney, the voice, look where your gift has brought you. I tried to fight, to call on Jesus, but my mouth opened and no words came. All that spilled out was silence, and silence was swallowed by their laughter. I was dragged lower, past caverns of fire and rivers that glowed like molten glass. Souls were there, countless souls. Some cried out for release, others clawed at the walls of that place, but the walls were alive, pulsing, trapping them in. Their eyes were hollow, yet filled with pain that never ended. Demons circled me, their forms shifting, some with wings burned black, others with serpents crawling from their mouths. They knew my weaknesses. They hissed about the nights I sought escape in drugs, about the men who broke me, about the moments I chose the stage over prayer. Every secret shame, every hidden scar, they laid bare. You sang for the world, they spat, but you would not sing for the one who gave you the voice. The air was heavy, sulfur choking me though I had no lungs. Flames rose but gave no light, only deeper darkness. Somewhere far off, I could hear screams, some familiar. Other voices of artists, celebrities I once admired, trapped, chained, their talents now twisted into eternal torment. Some tried to sing, but their songs were screams. Some tried to dance, but their feet were shackled in fire. I wanted to run, but there was no ground beneath me, only falling, always falling. And the more I fell, the more I remembered, the prayers I abandoned, the stage that replaced the altar, the pride that drowned out my faith. A terrifying truth burned into me. I had traded the eternal for the applause of men. And now, applause could not save me. In that pit, I felt the absence of God more than the presence of fire. That was the true torment, not just the pain, but the realization that I was cut off from the one I once knew as a child. The little girl who sang gospel was gone, and in her place was a soul chained to every compromise, every lie, every wasted gift. The deeper I fell, the more the shadows thickened until they became shapes, human yet distorted, like reflections in shattered glass. I recognized faces. Some were artists I once shared stages with, icons I admired from afar. Their beauty was gone, their fame burned away. They were hollow, twisted, locked in endless cycles of regret. I saw one man whose songs once ruled the charts. His voice, which had once enchanted millions, now echoed in agonized cries. Every note he had sung in pride returned as chains around his throat. Another woman, once a dazzling starlet, now tore at her own reflection in walls of fire, screaming that she would give up every award if only she could have one moment of peace. When their eyes met mine, I felt an indescribable terror. It was not jealousy or rivalry anymore, it was recognition. We were all the same here, stripped of fame, stripped of excuses, stripped of lies. The stage lights had been replaced by flames, and the applause had turned into mockery. Demons paraded around us, carrying instruments warped into tools of torture. They mocked me with microphones that turned into serpents, with stages that collapsed into pits. "Sing for us now, Whitney," they hissed. "Sing for the kingdom you served." And when I opened my mouth, no melody came, only a scream so raw it felt like it tore my soul apart. In that scream, I saw the truth of my life. I had been given a gift from heaven, but I used it to chase the world. I sang of love, but I did not know the love that saves. I sang of forever, but I traded eternity for applause that faded the moment the stage went dark. Every award, every headline, every standing ovation, it all crumbled before me, dust in the pit of despair. I remembered the times I felt the Spirit calling me back, whispering in the late hours when the drugs wore off and the silence grew heavy. But instead of turning to Him, I reached for another pill, another drink, another lie to numb the pain. I had thought fame would fill me. Instead, it hollowed me out until there was nothing left to give. As I wandered through that place, I came to a chamber darker than the rest. Inside, souls sat in silence, their heads bowed, but their silence screamed louder than any fire. One looked up, and I knew that face. He had been adored, celebrated, mourned by millions. Yet here, he was just another broken soul, eyes hollow, chained by the choices he made. When he spoke, it was not to me, but to the darkness. Tell them not to follow us here." My knees buckled under the weight of it all. I cried out, but my voice barely rose above the wails around me. "God, I am sorry. I wasted everything you gave me, I traded your glory for the world's stage. My confession poured out like water from a broken vessel. I listed every sin, every shame, every compromise. And yet, even as I confessed, the demons laughed. Too late, they hissed. Too late for mercy. Too late for redemption. The hopelessness pressed in on me until I could barely think. I felt the truth of their words, that I had chosen this path, step by step, compromise by compromise. The guilt was unbearable. The regret was a fire sharper than the flames around me. I thought of my daughter, of my family, of the church pews where I once sang with innocent faith. And I knew I had betrayed not only God, but every soul who looked to me for hope. In that moment, I believed there was no way out. No grace could reach this pit, no light could pierce this darkness. For the first time in my existence, I felt utterly, eternally lost. And that, more than the flames, more than the torment, was the true hell, the certainty that all hope was gone. Just when the weight of despair crushed me to silence, something shifted. The laughter of demons faded, the flames stilled, and for the first time since leaving my body, I saw light. It was not the weak flicker of fire, but a brilliance that pierced every shadow. The darkness recoiled like a wounded beast, and the chains around me trembled. Then I saw him. Jesus. Not as the paintings showed him, not distant or unreachable, but living light itself. His eyes burned with truth, yet they were filled with a love that terrified me even more than the flames. For in his gaze, I saw everything, every sin, every wasted gift, every broken promise. I fell to my knees. Lord, I am not worthy. I betrayed you. I sang for the world when I should have sung for you. My voice shook with shame, but he did not turn away. Instead, he stepped closer, and his presence pushed back the torment like a storm fleeing the sun. He spoke, not with condemnation, but with sorrow. Whitney, I gave you a voice to lift souls to me. But you allowed the world to drown out my song. You sought applause, not my presence. Yet even here, my mercy is not far. In his words, I saw flashes of my life, moments I could have chosen differently, moments his hand had reached out through people, through whispers of the Spirit. I remembered my mother's prayers, the gospel songs that once filled my lungs with pure joy. And for a fleeting moment, I felt the truth, I was not abandoned. His light was still here, even in the pit. The light wrapped around me, but the darkness still pulled. My soul trembled between hope and despair. Can I still be forgiven? I cried, my voice breaking like glass. Every failure screamed against me, yet his eyes did not turn away. The chains rattled, torn between two worlds. I wanted to believe his mercy, but guilt pressed down like iron. In that battle, I realized forgiveness was not earned, it was only received. Then he spoke again, his voice like thunder wrapped in love. Go back, Whitney. Tell them what you have seen. Tell them fame cannot save their souls, that only I can. His hand reached toward me, and the fire retreated completely. I felt the pull upward, a force stronger than the chains, lifting me from the pit. His words burned into me, not as judgment, but as a mission, to warn, to testify, to lead others to him. I awoke with tears on my face, but not the same tears I had shed in life. These were tears of mercy, of a second chance given where none should have been. I am telling you this not as a star, not as a legend, not even as the voice. I speak as a soul that has touched both hell and grace. Listen to me, Everything the world promises is dust. The awards, the headlines, the sold-out arenas, none of it matters when your soul stands before eternity. I had all of it, and yet I was empty. Do not be fooled as I was. Fame cannot save you. Money cannot protect you. Applause cannot follow you into death. But there is one who can. His name is Jesus. When he entered that pit, the fire fled. When he looked at me, every lie I had believed was silenced. And if he could reach me there, he can reach you right now, wherever you are. I beg you, don't wait until it's too late. Turn to him while you have breath. Sing your song for him, live your life for him, because nothing else will last. This is my testimony. I was dragged to the edge of hell, but his mercy pulled me back. If you hear my words, take them as a gift. I was sent back for this reason, to warn, to call, to remind you of what truly matters. Don't chase the world and lose your soul. Choose the one who already chose you. Now the choice rests with you. My story was not given to entertain, but to awaken. You are alive, you are breathing, and that means mercy is still reaching for you. Do not dismiss these words as just another tale. Hear them as a warning from one who has crossed the veil. Eternity is real, and your soul is priceless. Decide today whom you will serve. Choose life, choose truth, choose Jesus. If you feel his voice stirring in your heart, respond now. Tomorrow is not promised.